What's going on, guys? South Florida African Cichlids and more here, and today we're going to talk about African cichlid breeding for profit. We're going to cover everything from what I expected going into breeding, the tank setups, the actual breeding, growing out the fry, feeding, how to sell the fry, and which ways has, worked for me the best, and what are the plans for the future. So my biggest concerns when going into this is if it was going to be hard to sell the fish. But now that I have more experience in it, it is not very hard to sell the fish. First of all, these fish do take around 6 months or so to start getting 2 inches to where they start getting color, and that's where most people want to buy them. I have sold many fish as fry, so you could also sell fish as fry. Another worry I had is what to do with the females. As you guys know, with African peacock cichlids and with haps, most of the females don't have much color. So a lot of breeders have to cull them, which pretty much means kill them one way or the other, and I really didn't want to do that. So selling fish as fry and unsexed, it helps me, move some of those females out. There's another myth too, that if you use your water, if you leave your water kind of hot, 82 to 83 degrees, when you're raising the fry, that you'll get a better male to female ratio, and I think it's worked for me too. And the other thing is that it wouldn't be very profitable, but I think, like for the amount of work that you put in, sure, it's not that profitable, but you do get decent amounts of money at once. One day I sold like $100 worth of fish, another day I sold another $100, so that always helps. Now the next topic is going to be the tank setups. I would recommend 3 tanks for each breeding group. For your breeding group, you're going to want to have a 29 or 40 gallon tank. The bigger the better, right? And you're going to want to have, the more females the better. So 1 male and 5 or 6 females is what I would recommend. Then you're going to want to have a small tank for raising the fry. I would recommend the 5 or a 10 gallon. That's where you're going to put the fry when they're first born to when they're about an inch. Then you're going to want to have a grow out. Now I don't have much space in my house, so my grow out was a 20 gallon, but even with a 20 gallon grow out and with 20 or 30 fish in there, a sponge filter was enough to get the job done. And they've been growing, coloring up perfectly. So these are pretty much, the minimums. Some tips for the breeding is that you're going to want to have various females. The males can be very aggressive. Sometimes when you're breeding too, the females will start getting chased and this and that. So you want to feed your females very good. Make sure they're fat. If they're not fat, they will not produce eggs most of the time. So those are all things that play into account there. And now growing out the fry is one of the most important parts. A lot of people say, how long does a peacock cichlid take to get to 3-4 inches? Depends on the size, but sometimes it'll be up to a year till a fish gets 4 inches. Even for a fish to hit 2 inches, 2.5 inches to start getting color, it's usually 6 months, unless you have one of those big grow out tubs, and I've never talked to anyone who breeds them in those, so I really don't know how long they take. Another important part about growing out the fry is frequent water changes are going to make it so that the hormones that get released in the water, you're going to reduce them, and it's going to let the fry grow more, and the nitrates, cleaner water, is going to help them grow better as well. And feeding high quality foods, multiple small feedings a day to keep them active is better. It's better and it's not better because your water is going to be dirtier, especially when you're running like a sponge filter only tank. So now that we've covered the tank setup, the breeding, growing out the fry, and the feeding, let's go to the most important part, is how to sell the fry and what type of money I've earned from this. So there's 3 ways to sell the fry. You can sell them locally through Craigslist, OfferUp. This is my favorite way. You could also ship them. There's Facebook groups, Aquabit and eBay, that are good sources to find sellers to ship fish. Facebook groups also work locally as well. there should be some local Facebook groups that you could get in contact with, and they should let you post your fish there. And the last way you can sell your fish is through a local fish store. But granted, the local fish store is going to give you the least amount of money for your fish. So at least for my fish, the best way that I found is through Craigslist. Number one, because I'm selling fry. The local fish stores want 3-inch, colored up peacocks, which in my case, since I don't have any big grow outs, it'll take me, probably 8 to 9 months to maybe a year to get a peacock cichlid that size. And then the local fish store might give me what, $5 or $10 for that fish, and I sell fry on Craigslist for $5 a piece when they buy 5 or more. Now I've been selling a hybrid fry, I've been selling ruby red fry on Craigslist. So I usually, one of the techniques I do is I put a picture of the breeding father, and that'll give people an idea of what the ruby red fry are gonna look like. But I always put that they're unsexed. I give them a deal when they buy 5 or more. And this is something good and it's bad. You're not getting the most out of your fish, but you're not gonna have to feed them as long, you're not gonna have to take care of them as long, none of that. And when they go to somebody else, they usually grow faster because they have a bigger tank or less of them stocked in the tank. Another way to sell the fish is through shipping. So again, I recommend Craigslist. Just make a post on there, say that you're selling the fish, tell them to give you a call, work out your prices, get a good customer base. Shipping, I've never shipped fish. I will. I bought some cordon breeder bags. It's a way, it does work, but again, there are problems that come with shipping, dead fish, all of this. You got to keep that into account. That's going to cut into your profit as well. And then the last way to sell is to local fish stores. But again, I've never dealt with local fish stores. I only have 2 or 3 breeding tanks right now, and with Craigslist it's worked out perfectly. I don't have fish that are getting too big for the tanks, none of those problems. So right now that I have built up my customer base, I'm just trying to, from the money that I get from selling the fish, I'm trying to expand to more tanks, more things, all of that. Another good tip is to remember to sell fish that go together well. So if I'm breeding African cichlids, I'm not gonna have a tank with guppies. Why? Because I cannot sell those guppies to the same guy that bought the African cichlids, or at least they're not gonna go in the same tank for them. So always try to sell fish that you could put in the same tank. For example, I have ruby red peacock fry, I have hybrid peacock fry, and I have mbuna. All 3 of those fish can go in the same tank. So how much do I get for my fish? So I'm gonna share this with you guys. For my fry from 1 to 2 inches, I usually ask for $5 to $7. If they're hybrids, they're gonna go a little bit cheaper. If they're the ruby reds, it's gonna be $7 per fry. Usually people that buy 5 or more from me, I cut them a deal, maybe $1 off each fish, something like that, to make sure that they're gonna return. But just think about it, you could have a fry that were born at a month, grow them out for 2 months, and then sell them for $5 to $7. It's a pretty good deal. Now when they start getting to 2 inches, I start selling guaranteed males. I have subdominant males and dominant males. The subdominants I usually sell for $7 to $10. If those are hybrids. If they're ruby reds, it would be a little bit higher, probably $10 to $12. And the dominant males go for around $15 at 2.5 inches. And that's what I've been selling them for now here in South Florida, and that's worked for me. Everybody seems happy, So what can I recommend for you guys that are watching it? Don't get in it for the money. It's an investment. You might spend all this money trying to get tanks set up for this and that, and it doesn't work out. I recommend that you use a tank that you already have set up. Just switch it around, maybe have some fish in it that you're not too interested in, just sell them off and get yourself a little breeding group. If you've never bred African cichlids, I would recommend you start with yellow labs. They're very easy to breed. The males and the females look pretty much the same, so you could sell to local fish stores if nobody local wants to buy them from you. One of the downsides to the yellow labs is that they're very common, so they don't go for, you know, too expensive. I've seen people selling them on Craigslist for $2 to $3 a piece, whereas I sell my fish for, you know, $5 to $7 a piece, even smaller than those yellow labs. And then start off with one species. So again, don't waste any money, just do it in a tank you already have. Start off with one species and see if you could sell those and go from there. Talk with your customers. A lot of my customers, they want more fish and different variety, things like that, so I always hear out their concerns, and that helps me with the direction that I'm going. And the last part that I wanted to touch on is give your best fish out first. So if you have like 2 or 3 beautiful males in there of your fry and you're selling them, you know, as unsexed or whatever, you know, give your good fish first, because your customer is going to be extremely happy, but also because with African cichlids, when you take the best looking guy out of the tank, there's always another one that goes to, you know, step up and take his place. So how much have I made? I've made about $300 to $400 with one breeding tank growing. I've sold about 60 fry from 1/2 inch to 2.5 inch. And for the future, I just want to add another breeding group. I'm going to get 2 40 gallons here going pretty soon, and we're going to take it from there. Get some more variety for the people that want to buy from me. Keep doing this, keep making a little bit of money, and keep expanding my hobby, you know, slowly like that. I want to give a shout out at the end of this video to KG Tropicals and Aquarium Co-op. They made one of the first series about fish breeding on YouTube, and that's been very helpful for anyone that's, you know, kept fish, thought about breeding, that's breeding for profit. This is all, you know, like, this is all great. So I just shared with you all or most of all my knowledge on these African cichlids and how I've been breeding them and selling them for a profit to help advance my hobby. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, which I'm sure you do, remember there is no stupid question, so ask away. And besides that, I want to hear your comments and what you thought about all this. Are you currently breeding for profit? Are you thinking about it? Yeah, leave the comment below. Please like and do subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.